Okay, I'm going to be doing some videos about the AR-15 series of rifles. These videos are mostly going to focus on those on aspects of the rifle for new owners or for those looking to buy their first AR. Be some helpful tips on what to look for before you buy the rifle, and how you should set up the rifle for different kinds of uses that you may want to do with the rifle. So, why an AR? Well, the AR is very popular in the US for several reasons. One of the biggest reasons, though, is it is an extremely versatile platform because there are so many accessories and options and parts that you can get for these rifles. So you can set one up for just basic fun, plinking around at the range. You can get one set up for defensive use in the home, or even hunting and long-range shooting and precision shooting for groups. So many different uses and ways to set up one of these rifles, and that is why it's so popular. Now, what do you need to know before you buy your first rifle? Well, before you can even start looking at rifles, you need to ask yourself some questions. The first question is, what is my budget? You need to know how much you can spend on the rifle. You can always spend less, but rarely can people stretch their budget much more than what they already know they have in the budget. Next, what kind of use do you want for the rifle? What planned use scenarios? Defense, hunting, just general plinking, or interest shooting? This is important because this can really affect the overall price and how you set the rifle up. So just know that some types of use can cost you more than others. So you need to be realistic in what your uses can be with your budget as well. And then third, do you want to buy a complete rifle? Or maybe, do you want to buy the lower receiver completed and then find an upper receiver you like that is completed and just mate the two together? Or the third option, do you want to build from individual parts? And you can mix the last two options. You can build your upper from parts or build your lower from parts and then buy the other half as a complete unit. These are up to you. If you're going to build, you need to look at yourself and your abilities and really be honest with yourself. It's not a difficult task to build a rifle, but you need to go in prepared. So know that. It's really the hardest parts would be knowing how to properly torque the barrel on the upper, and some little areas that can get you in trouble if you're not paying attention, like the trigger guard. If you get a little rough installing the trigger guard, you can crack or break the little tabs that secure it to the rifle. So everything else is fairly simple with the correct tools, and if you don't have the tools, you'll have to figure that into your budget. So that's the basics of what you need to ask yourself. When it comes to the budget, there are 4 tiers in my opinion. You got the budget line of rifles. That will be about $700, maybe even up to $800, but usually anything less than $700 or $800 would be a budget line rifle. And then anything between that 7 and 8 up to about 1200 would be what I call a mid-tier rifle. And mid-tier is usually where you can get a basic rifle that is fully mil-spec. It may not have a bunch of fancy options, but it will be a basic rifle that is up to proper specs, at least up to the proper specs, where your budget lines have some cost-cutting measures to reduce their price that don't always meet the mil specs. And we'll discuss mil spec in another video, and why it can be important and where it can be less important. And then above your mid price, your mid tiers would be your upper tier range. And when it comes to the upper tier range, that's $1,200 to about $2,000. And here's where you start getting into more features with the rifle, or things that are above and beyond what mil spec calls for, and maybe some better quality in certain regards. And that's something we can go into as well when it comes to the mil spec video. And then third, or the fourth, your ultra top tier rifles. Those will be up 2,000 up to 3,000 or more, and usually they're going to be closer to the $3,000 range for these rifles. And these are just ultra slick features, all extra features and abilities and things like that that you may or may not need. And you can get a very, very nice rifle at that price range, but you have to seriously look at that rifle and ask yourself, is the price worth it for you, for your use? If you want it just to have it, it can be a pride of ownership, and I fully understand that. So there's your price ranges and the different questions you need to ask yourself. Now, for the next video, we're going to be talking about mil spec. What is mil spec exactly? So you'll need to, if that's important to you, the next video will help you understand what you should look for that.